So now I'm going to go to one, a campaign that I already have that's getting some sales. I want to have you look at it and kind of tell us what columns we should be looking at, what kind of things we should do when we see, maybe a high spend or a low ACOS or whatever it is. So here's one. This one's called Havana Good Time. And just so people can see, it's sold. First of all, let's see, spend 33 cents. I got sales and I got the, which one should I have up here? Is this a good?
Sure. The ones I look at, spend for sure. I'm going to want sales. I don't really care about because you're going to base that off of some other stuff.
Would you change it to something else in your second spot?
Yeah, the ones I'm going to want, I want to see orders, how many orders there are.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. And then what would you put here?
I like ACOS instead of ROAS. They're the same thing. They're just the inverse of each other. I prefer ACOS, and this is just because it's easier to compare to what my profit margins are.
Okay. Do you want a low ACOS or a high ACOS?
You want the right. You want the right ACOS. There's no such thing as like.
Oh, good to know.
Low can be bad.
Low can be
you don't
bad.
want.
Okay.
It can be, or you're leaving money on the table. Is really what the case is.
Yeah.
So really, what you need to be doing, and maybe we should touch on this, especially if these are going to be new sellers, is starting with, before you even launch your ad, is to come up with what your target ACOS is going to be. It's probably the most important thing you can do when it comes to running your ad, because this is your barometer for your ad's performance. If you don't have a goal, then
you don't know what to adjust.
You don't know, is this good? Is this bad? Well, you don't know because you don't have a goal. So the first thing you want to do is set a target ACOS. And this is partly why I like ACOS, because it's easy to tie to what your profit margins are. So for a product, we can easily figure out our profit margins. For merch, it's the royalty divided by the sales price.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm selling something, what is this price? Like $19.99?
$19.99.
What's the royalty on that? 24. I think it's somewhere around 24%, I think, is what the break-even point.
It's 5 something, but.
So you would take that divided by, I think it's 4, isn't it like 480 something now?
I think, you're right. I make it $20.99, sorry. But I think this one may be $20.99, whatever it is. So
regardless, you'll just take the royalty divided by the sales price. If it's a $20 shirt, it's somewhere around 24% break-even profit margin. That you can equate to what your ACOS is. So I think your break-even point is a good starting point to go up or down for your target ACOS, like what your ACOS goal is. So if your break-even point is a 24% profit margin, break-even ACOS is 24%.
Oh, really? Okay, so if it's lower than 24%, then you want to spend more, and if it's higher, then you want to.
Well, that's your target. So that's I think break even's a great starting point for a target ACOS. You're not profiting, you're not losing money. You're breaking even on your ads, and this is where, especially for new accounts, it's okay to not be profitable on your ads, and I think it's actually a mistake to try to be super profitable on your ads, especially if you have products that are new. You're just getting started with ads. It takes a long time for a product to reach maturity, having lots of reviews and reach its full sales potential. So we want to push sales as much as possible to get those reviews, to climb the rankings. So we want to get as many sales by breaking even. We don't want to lose money on ads either necessarily. There's cases where that's okay. I do that as a goal for a lot of my campaigns, where it's more important to get sales.
You're going to make it back.
That or there's just different campaign goals. Let's say, for example, I'm targeting one of my direct competitors on his product page or hers, where if every time I steal a sale from them, that's one less sale they're getting and one more I'm getting. That's a bigger differential. That's a 2 sale difference for every order that I'm stealing from them.
Then you kind of take over the niche or whatever.
Just outrank them. So there are times where it's okay to be unprofitable. But for new sellers, I think break even ACOS, or break even on profit, and setting your target ACOS at your break even point is a great goal to set. And ACOS stands for advertising cost of sale. It counts. So if you spent $10 and you made $100 in revenue, and this is revenue. So for merch folks, it's not your royalties, it's what the actual sales are. So you got to get kind of used to what the actual revenue numbers are. But if you made $100 in revenue and spent $10, you'd have a 10% ACoS, advertising cost of sale. So that's step one. Set your target ACoS. Set it at your break-even point. It's a good starting point. So for this, something like a 24, maybe we'll say 25% to keep the math nice and not round, I guess.
Is impressions a good fourth one here, or?
For the top, because you'll actually, we can change our columns like in the other data too, but at the top, I like spend, orders, ACoS. Usually I'll have CPC up there.
CPC, cost per click. Okay.
Cost per click. So that's how much it costs every time someone clicks on your ads. And that's the only time you pay for advertising when someone actually clicks on it. So just seeing your ads, it doesn't cost you anything. It's only when someone actually clicks on it. It's called a pay per click model, PPC. So if you ever see PPC, that's what they're talking about.
Well, we want clicks because they got to click on it to order it and buy it, right? So
yes, that's the first step. They got to get to your product page.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm going to see if I have 3 of them here. I'm going to see if there's one that's a better, because I only have 1 order on this one.
We could open up the date range probably a little bit too. So I think this is a good call for like if you don't have a lot of order data, we can look at a longer date range too. Instead of just the last week, we could look at the last 30 days. Maybe the last 30 days. Because this is, you do want the data points. You don't want just one order necessarily and make a bunch of decisions off there. We don't know if that order is a fluke. The more data we have, the more confident we can be in the decisions that we make.
Okay, let me change this to, what was it? Spend,
orders,
ACoS, right? Spend.
Yep.
And then CPC, cost per click. Okay, whoa, that's all over the...
Yeah, they do. They just changed their graphs a little bit, and that's okay. I mean, I don't necessarily like pay a ton of attention because at the campaign level, this isn't where we're really looking at the data. So this is just kind of gives us an overall view of like this campaign necessarily. Any optimizations that we're going to make, most of it's going to be changing bids, right? Okay. Like that's going to be where that's the lever, the main lever that we have.
So should we get into this right now? Is this enough to know that we can click in here and go change the bids, or?
Yeah, we certainly can. Like this is where we would want it to go into the campaign. And I'm not really looking at a ton of this data, to be honest.
Okay. I'll go into it here.
Other than just getting an overall sense of like how my account is doing in general. Okay.
Well, it's saying I'm out of budget, so this must be spending a lot on here. Or I should add more. I don't know. Can we check?
Well, let's go a little deeper into the data. So next we want to go to the ad group. So we want to actually dive into the ad group. We're not going to make any decisions or changes based on the campaign or the ad group data because there's more granular data within that. Because we could be making a decision, let's say, oh, this campaign's doing terribly. It kind of goes back to this that placement example I made, where if this campaign's doing terribly, but one keyword or one targeting group is just bringing that down, and there's actually one really performing, you could be pausing that really well working one just because all that data was being averaged together or aggregated together.
Okay.
So next we want to go to, we only have one ad in our campaign. That's what we want to do. We have one ASIN. That's your ad. And then we want to go to our targeting in the left column.
Okay. Boom.
And this should show us all of our targeting groups.
That's right.
This is the data we want to look at.
Okay.
So last 30 days.
Last 30 days, yep.
And we're looking at the orders. We have enough data points here we can make a decision off of.
You see, I closed this one.
So 30 days, that's a pretty good date range. And you can vary that as well. If you have a lot of order data, we can shrink that down to 7 days. If you want to use as much recent and relevant data as possible, but only as long as you have enough data. Where if you only have one order in the last 7 days, stretch that out to 14 days, stretch that out to 30. Maybe you need to go to 60 days if you only have a handful of orders over that time, especially for new accounts. They're only spending a couple of bucks a day. You're probably not going to have a ton of order data. But that's the advantage of spending more too, is like we get more data to work with, more recent, that the changes we make are going to be a little more relevant. So we can look at this, we're going to look at the orders, and we're going to optimize these by each targeting group.
Okay.
So we're going to look at the first one, close match. We have 4 orders over that 30-day time frame. What's the ACoS? We have 7% ACoS. So what's our goal for this? What's our target
24,
ACoS?
right?
I'd say 24% would be our break even. So our ACoS is lower than that. So what action do we take if our ACoS is lower than what our target ACoS is? We want to spend more. We have more room to spend, so we can increase the bid.
This one right here, right?
Yep. So that'd be the first one.
How high would you increase it? Just, I guess it depends, but
it depends on how often you do it.
Okay.
You don't want to make large, infrequent changes. You're going to see better results by having more frequent, small changes.
Oh, okay.
At least, so this depends on if you have any tools to help manage, or if you're doing this manually. If you're doing this manually, I'd say once a week is probably like a good cadence. Maybe more often if you have the time, it will work better for you. 2 to 3% per day is kind of the average. So if you're doing this once a week, you're looking at 10 to 20% changes at a time. And with like small budgets, like, 10% is like 3 cents or something. We're not talking like huge changes with that. And if we're going down to like 2 or 3 cents per day or percent, so you could change that. Yeah, I would probably change that to do like a 20% adjustment on that, whatever it was, because of how low it is. If it's a lot further away from your target ACOS, I'm going to make a bigger adjustment. I'll usually kind of stagger those.
So what I want to, am I right? It seems like I change this, I watch this for a week. If this ACOS goes up closer to 24, then we did a good job, right? If it went down,
exactly.
Then maybe.
And this is where we could change our, one other column I would like to see on here. So if we change our columns a little bit, I want to see the CPC.
Okay. Let me add, customize, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what would you do here? CPC, anything you would take off?
I mean, you can leave the others as fine. I don't use ROAS, and if I'm using ACOS, so I'd probably just take that off just to clean it up. Otherwise, I'd even add click-through rate just to have it, and impressions. Like, it's okay to have those on there. I'm not using those. So let's talk about like the data we are using to make these decisions on. So the data we're using here is orders, and really ACOS. ACOS is our barometer. If we have orders, we're going to be using the ACOS to make decisions on what our bid, whether we're going to increase it or decrease it.
Okay.
If we don't have orders, we have to move to the next best piece of data, which is clicks. And that's really going to be more of if we're going to turn off that targeting group or campaign or
so if people are clicking
keyword
on it, you're getting lots of clicks, but nobody's buying. That's bad, right? So you want to
eventually you would probably want to turn that off at some point. Once you got enough clicks, you could confidently say, hey, this isn't working. This isn't going to hit any reasonable metrics for it to make sense.
Do you also look for, if you're spending a lot of money and nobody's clicking on it, that sounds like that would be bad too. Well, you're not going to spend any
money. You're not going to spend any money.
Oh, that's right, because it costs per click.
So it's okay. That's totally okay. So, and that's going to be your click-through rate. That's going to tell you that, like how many people are seeing it and then clicking through. That's your click-through rates, that ratio.
So really, I mean, that makes sense then. So you could put on a ton of ads, nobody's click on, and you don't spend any money. So
yeah, and that goes back to the hierarchy of data. So if we don't have clicks, the next best piece of data is impressions. And when you start a new campaign, you're going to reverse the order. That's what you're looking for. You need to first get impressions. If you're not getting impressions, you're probably not bidding enough. You're not spending enough to win placements for your ad to be seen. So you need to increase your bid. Once you have impressions, like, okay, my bid's like high enough, is like, the next you're going to look at clicks. Like, okay,
that makes sense.
Am I getting clicks now? No, I'm not getting clicks yet. It's like maybe I need to increase the bid and get more impressions to get more clicks. And then once you have clicks, you need to then start looking, am I getting orders?
How many clicks are you looking for before you turn the thing off? If you get 1,000 clicks
we're
going
to get this question. Yeah, exactly. You don't, like, you'd be very confident this isn't going to work if you got 1,000 clicks, right?
Okay.
There needs to be a point that's reasonable that we turn it off before then. And we also don't just want 2 clicks, for example, or 1 click.
That's not enough data, right?
Yeah. Right. It's not enough data. So here's what I use. One way to think of this is in conversion rates. Okay. And this gets a little more complicated, but try to stay with me. Your conversion rate is how many clicks it takes to get an order. If it takes 10 clicks to get a single order, that's 1 out of 10. It's 10% conversion rate. That's considered a good conversion rate. Yeah. That's like kind of when good conversion rates start. Yeah. That doesn't mean you have to have a 10% conversion rate for your ads to be successful. I have campaigns that have a 4% conversion rate that do well. But that ties more into like how much you're spending per click and things like that. But when it comes to like when you're turning something off, so that's kind of like a barometer of sources. 10% conversion rate is usually what we're looking for. If we want to have something like really start doing well, 10% conversion rate. So that means 1 out of 10 clicks.
Okay.
Now, if we get 10 clicks on that, does that mean in no orders, does that mean we should turn it off? Not really, because it could just be like that next click could be an order and the performance would be fine.
Yeah.
So usually
you could get 100 clicks and then you
get 10 orders in the last
more, right?
Or more, exactly. Yeah. So we want to have enough, and that's where it comes to us. Like, we want to be confident that like, okay, we got enough clicks. It's probably not going to hit the conversion rates that we really want.
Okay.
The other thing to think about is how broad these targeting groups or keywords are targeting. So what I mean by that is every keyword or targeting group that you have, those are targeting search terms. Okay. So there's a difference, and there's a lot of people that get these mixed up. Keywords are what you choose to target.
Okay.
And that determines what search terms your ad appears on. A search term is what a customer types into the Amazon search bar.
For searching
cat
for their
t-shirt.
Whatever. Yeah,
that's a search term someone types in. If one of your targeting groups is targeting that search term, your ad can appear for it.
Oh, okay.
So that's the difference between the search terms.
Is that for a manual automatic
both.
does it, but you don't have
so
control with this.
Yeah, like so an automatic campaign, a close match is going to target search terms that closely match the keywords in your listing. Or a loose match
so that's
are
why
going
it's
to
important to put good keywords in your title, bullets,
description,
absolutely. All of that, right?
100%. Okay. So you should be doing keyword research. That kind of starts, that's like step 0, I guess, before Amazon ads is like do good
before
keyword
you do
research.
An ad, make sure you have,
have good, relevant, lots of keywords still. You still want to have like broad reach. So cool. what I mean by that is like, okay, let's say you have 20 clicks, or let's say even 30 clicks on this close match targeting group. That sounds like a lot, and like maybe this isn't going performing, but each of those clicks could be on a different search term. And each of those search terms is going to perform differently. But we don't know that unless we have enough data. So
here we go.
One thing to look at before turning off this close match is maybe there was just one search term that was not performing well. It didn't got all 30 clicks.
Yeah.
And then you turn off that targeting group, and you're not going to have any idea or give it a chance to target any other search terms. So you just turned it off. So before I would turn anything off that, I would look at my search terms. So there's a handy column there under the ad group that you could look at to see there on the left column. So here's what I do. I would just sort it by clicks, descending.
By clicks. Here we go. Okay.
So we want to see what's getting a lot of clicks.
This Hello Kitty.
So this will tell us
product.
So I mean, there's not a ton, and you can see how spread out those clicks are across all sorts of different
like a
products.
Clear winner, right?
Right. Or there's not one necessarily soaking up a lot of
this one is the most
clicks. Where what this could look like going back to our example, let's say you have 30 clicks on one of these, but 0 orders. It would be better to negate that product or keyword instead of turning off that targeting group.
Yes.
And that's where your negative targeting comes in. You're telling Amazon, hey, don't put my ad on this anymore.
Yeah. But we don't have,
there's not one here, but going back to like the pausing, but this does illustrate how broad the targeting is. And this is why you do need a lot of clicks. The more broad your targeting is with like an automatic targeting group, a broad match keyword, even phrase match, those single keywords are targeting hundreds, if not thousands of different search terms. So you do want a lot of clicks before you're turning it off. And honestly, like most of the time, it's going to be better to just negate the stuff that's not working. In a way, those become like self-optimizing. So you're just getting rid of stuff that's not working. And what's left is the stuff that does work.
That is working.
So you don't necessarily have to turn it off. I mean, there are cases that's going to be the case where it's like, I got 100 clicks and no orders.
Okay.
I'm pretty conservative. I'm not going to turn off an automatic targeting group probably until I have 40, 50 clicks without an order. And I'm going to first want to go in and I'm going to negate stuff that's not working first to give the other stuff a chance. It could just be Amazon throwing all in this one. Working. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Where if it's like an exact match, for example, an exact match keyword in a manual campaign, so that's saying like, let's say it's cat shirt, you're only going to be targeting a handful of search terms. It'll be like the plurals and misspellings. It's very targeted. So those 20 clicks are only on a handful of search terms. It's not spread out, 20 clicks on 20 different search terms. So you can be a little more, you can have fewer clicks before you're turning it off. Around 20 clicks is around what I'm doing for like an exact match keyword. and then 40 to 50 for broad. And that's, somewhere in between there for like phrase.
That's good to know. So I got, this one's closer to 24, which is what we said, kind of more breaking even. These are lower, which, I mean, it is making profit, right? Because they're lower.
Yep. So we already raised the bid on the first one, the close match, which was good. We raised it like 6 cents. Totally fine. Because usually I'll stagger those. If it's, let's say target ACOS 24%, anywhere between, I don't know, 10 or 15 and 22%, I'll make a 10% adjustment. For stuff that's really low, so like this one's 7%, it's doing really well, I'll do a bigger adjustment. I'll do that 20%
so you
adjustment
can get,
if I'm adjusting.
That adjustment gets you even more sales, right?
And then because what I'm looking at here is the cost per click as well. And you'll notice that your cost per click is actually higher than what your bid is. And that's probably to do with your campaign, your bidding strategy. You probably have up and down bidding strategy.
Oh, that's right. I did do up and down on this one.
Your bid, which is fine. We still adjust it the same way. We're still going to make those 10 or 20%. It just gives you a ballpark to see where your costs are versus your bid.
Cool, man. All right. So I would assume then this one is under 24. I would want to raise it, but maybe not as much as this one.
Yeah, maybe not as much, but a few cents would be reasonable.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do 35. Boom.
Right, and your other one's like pretty much on 24%. Yeah, I would just let that ride.
Okay. So you said first, let me see if I can remember this without you telling me. So first are we looking at ACOS first, right? When we come to here for sales?
I'll keep an eye on the orders to see how many orders. Do we have enough orders? So if I only have one, that's not enough data. If I, 2 orders is going to be my minimum. Even that's only 2 data points. The more data points we have, the better.
And if you don't have any
4, if you don't have any, you need to start extending your date range.
Yeah. Or if you don't have any orders, you said the next thing to look at is clicks, right?
Yep. And that's going to be used to determine if we are going to turn this off or not, or maybe we need to look at our search terms. Maybe we need to negate something.
That makes sense. So if there's no orders, look at clicks.
Yep.
And if there's no clicks, look at impressions.
Yep.
Okay.
So we need to look at impressions and make sure our ads at least being seen, because if your ads not being seen, you're not even in the game. So you need to probably be more competitive with your bid. Now, I'm going to throw a wrench in here too, is like I said, we need to extend the data, but at a certain point, maybe we need to look at more recent data too. And we can do this for orders. So like it may be worth shortening the date range for like the one that has 11 orders. How's this been doing in the last week?
Yeah, let's do the last 7.
And this could be also like, let's glance at it as like maybe something.
Look at that. That's way high.
But that's only one order too.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Good call.
Over the 48. So that's, maybe it's worth like lowering the bid like a tad. So this is where that recent data, like we're in like Father's Day season. But this is exactly why you do need to pay attention to your ads and always be optimizing, because this stuff changes all the time. Your competition's changing, the season's changing, how much traffic there is, which changes how many ads are available. All this changes what the bids will be or what's competitive, and changes the performance of your data. Conversion rates change over time. Conversion rates are higher in December than what they are in July, for example, for most products. So all these things affect your cost per click. You can, I guess, what your ideal cost per click is to attain your goals, and what your bids are too.
Cool,
man. It's a good idea to kind of look at a couple different date ranges to see how it's performing. Because maybe one they stopped delivering, you're not getting impressions anymore. It's like, well, it's not competitive anymore.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Do you ever go just yesterday?
I do. So I'm doing that right now, actually for my ads, because I have a big Father's Day seller that spends. I have keywords that spend hundreds of dollars a day right now, like single keywords, not even a campaign, where I need to look at how they're performing several times a day. And I need the most recent data. And generally today and yesterday's data isn't 100%, especially right now. There's like, you can see the error, like the message on your ad console that's saying their data is delayed. That happens, but we need to use the best that we have. So yeah, there are times I'm going to look at just yesterday's or even the last 2 or 3 days data when there's very high sales volume and peak selling period. You're not going to really need that unless you're selling dozens of units per day with your ads.
For most people,
hopefully
we look
one
at the
day,
week,
like
so,
you get to that point, like you build your
yeah.
products up. Like this, it's not overnight. But yeah, I would say most merch products that I see, but that has to do with the volume of data. It's back to how much volume that you have.
Oh, cool. I think this is great. I'm going to start implementing some of those things that you talked about, really looking at my ads. Maybe, would you suggest for people like me who just started, maybe dedicating one day a week, like, I don't know, one day a week and look at all the stuff, kind of adjust and then
I would
do that?
Minimum, I would look once a week. If you're launching a new product, maybe you want to look at that specific product or campaigns a little more often, especially when it's brand new. You want to make sure you're getting impressions, wait a couple days, increase a bit if you're not. So like babysit it a little bit more, but bare minimum once per week, going in and going through each of your campaigns to adjust your bids a little bit at a time. And there's some ways you can speed this up. You can very easily turn Amazon ads into a full-time job, especially if as your products scale. And so it really depends on how much time you want to invest and how exactly you'll structure your bids. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. So don't overthink it at first. You'll just kind of get a feel of how you want to manage your ads or how much time you want to invest, because there's always more you can do. There's always another optimization. And there's diminishing returns. At a certain point, it's not going to make sense to make all these micro adjustments. But there are things like even in the ad console, I'm assuming if we go back to your campaign page overall, I'm just curious if I don't know, I get some stuff that's not available in every account. I don't know.
The
top
the
left,
full
the sponsored ads campaign manager.
Sponsored ads campaign. This one?
Yeah, you're targeting. So you can go to your targeting column there and you can get a list of just all of your targets. It'll just put all your campaigns together. Okay. So that'd be one way you can kind of at a glance look at all of your different keywords and targets. Oh,
wow. I didn't know this existed. That's kind of cool.
So you can go through there and adjust bids. It gives you conversion rates even, which are helpful. So that's one way you can manually adjust. There's bulk operations spreadsheets if you want to get into Excel spreadsheets and make some changes to another way to adjust your bids. Or there's tools like Merchjar that we have. And this is why we made Merchjar, because of how much time it takes to do the optimizations that need to be done to get the most out of your ads. You can use a tool like ours to speed this up to make changes across thousands of campaigns at once, or even automate it.
Let's say we stopped an ad. This is the last question. We stopped one, right? We found out it's not working. Is there a way do you mark it to not run it again, or do you delete it, or what do you do? Archive it? What do you?
So the campaigns, I'm not usually pausing a campaign, and for any of my single ASIN campaigns, what I'm doing is pausing at the targeting level. So you're eventually, if something's just not working, I get those 40, 50 clicks, no orders, and I pause that. That's all I really need to do is pause it at the target. So your targeting level. So where we just were inside of a campaign, inside of an ad group.
So it's here.
Yeah, you can do that there. So like your auto campaign that has your 4 different close match, loose match, complement, substitutes. Eventually all those just stop working or they just never perform, you'll eventually pause all those, and that your campaign is effectively not delivering.
One. So you would pause here.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Okay. And this is a big key, is like, this is where we're always optimizing on the targeting level. And when I say targeting level, this is what I mean is our targeting, the complements, loose match, or in the case of manual campaigns, your keywords.
When you close it here, what happens to, let's go back.
Your campaign will still be enabled. It'll still be shown as delivering. Just everything will be paused inside of it.
Oh, okay. And then, so you just leave it. Okay.
Yeah, I just leave it. I don't really mess with it. And I know that's always there. And I mean, you could pause it if you notice they're like, hey, this campaign doesn't have anything running. You can pause it. You can archive it. I don't really mess with it. I just don't find a need to really do that too much.
So you pause it. It shows up on the thing, but it's not making any sales, but you don't care because you paused it.
Yeah. Yep. I have all that. Okay. Yeah. And for me personally, that's all. I have all that automated through Merchjar to where that's so like all those different date ranges that we looked at. Like, hey, we want to have the right order volume at the right date ranges. That's all automated through Merchjar, where it can really save you time.
Okay, so this is a great spot. Thanks for showing me all of this. But I wanted to let people know where to find you. Let me turn this off here. Man, this has been so good. This is going to help me too. So, thanks so much. It's more of a selfish video than anything else. But
I'm happy to jump on. We got to get you into Merch Jar, man.
Yeah, I know. So tell people what Merch Jar is, where to find you on Merch Jar and all of that. If people want to learn more, if they're past my stage, right? Maybe they've done this and they want more stuff. They already know everything that you just talked about. What's the next step? Where can they find you?
So merchjar.com, you can, of course, find the software there. We have our own Facebook group, Amazon Ads University. We'll put a link somewhere in here that you can find us there. We have thousands of advertisers. Great place to learn, ask questions. People are really super helpful there. But Merchjar is really it saves you time. That's what its really main goal is. It's going to automate a lot of that tedious stuff.
The stuff we just talked about.
If you only have a couple campaigns, do it manually. If you're not really, if you're only spending a few bucks, do that manually. It's better to get the hands-on knowledge and experience.
You know what you're doing, what it is doing too, right? Because you kind of have to have the knowledge 100%. Of what. Yeah.
Yep. And when you're ready to take the next step of like, man, I'm just sick of like having to go in. This feels like a full-time job. That's where a tool like Merchjar can really come in and just automate that whole side where, hey, I'm adjusting my bids a little bit each day, or I'd like to move it up to each day. That's where that tool comes in. It's just going to take care of like all that off your plate. We also have some other features too, as far as like adding ads to your lottery campaigns. I know that's a frustration for people. We have to where you can add hundreds of thousands of ads at a single click to a bunch of different ad groups. Just some different streamlined features like that, because it was born out of our own frustration of running ads for merch on demand, and there just aren't any other tools that were built for that.
Nice. Well, thanks. Yeah, I think I definitely maybe I want to try this, like what you just said, so I can understand what all those, levers mean. And then once I figure out that, and if I'm spending too long every week, like you said, then yeah, Merch Jar for sure.
Yeah, 100%. We'll do another video. We'll get you into Merch Jar, use it, and see what the benefits are. But for anybody that is watching this that is ready for that, anybody that's on your channel, I'm sure there'll be a link. But anyone that uses that link will get free 30 days plus 50% off their first month.
Wow, guys, I've never heard you say that deal before.
That's
awesome.
That's the best offer we've ever had. So
that's awesome, guys. So if you guys are ready, you've heard it from the Merch Jar guy himself. So get on it. 30 days free. Wow. Yeah,
30-day free trial, then 50% off their first month. So you don't pay anything the first 60 days using Merch Jar. So you can optimize your ads till what month?
We're in
September,
June,
October,
so July.
August.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I'm ready for Q4 already.
Wow. Yeah, like you said, this is great to start now. Get all the data, of all your stuff, and then man, by the time you Q4 is just going to go boom, boom.
Yes, don't wait till then.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake to wait till then. And then because costs go up too, things get more expensive. Like you don't want to be testing when it's expensive.
Yeah. And you want the ranking too, right? Because if you're putting ads on it, your shirt's ranking before Q4, and then when it does Q4, you're up the top. And
put the fire on the gas ahead of time. I'm starting in September really is when I really start going, I'll spend more than I profit on ads because I'm pushing that ranking. I already want to be at the top or as high as possible for as many products as possible. So when that traffic really hits, because anyone that's done a Q4, if this is your first Q4, you're in for a treat when December comes, because I would say probably 30 or 40% of my sales for the year happen between Black Friday and the first 2 weeks of Christmas. Is a 3-week window.
Get ready.
It's huge.
Nice. Well, thanks so much, Cameron. This has been amazing. So much good stuff in here. I love that we could do this show and tell. I've been wanting to do this with you for so long.
I feel like we could keep talking. We definitely need to do this again, because I think we definitely do.
As we get closer,
we did. That's the first time I ever did that. Going through someone else's ad and we just talk about, hey, what changes should we make? We should definitely do that. Maybe we can even do it for some of your audience as well. If anyone wants to volunteer, we could do something like that.
Have a third person
roast my ads or something. I think we got a new series on our hands.
Yeah, I think so. This would be great. And you know what's really cool is I'm going to take the stuff you said. Maybe we can come back in a few months and see how it did and kind of adjust or whatever.
Yeah, a little case study.
Little case study, yeah. Cool, man. Thanks so much, Cameron. Thanks for doing this. This has been great. I'll see you soon, right? We'll do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Jonah.
Yeah.
Talk soon.